Brown breaking it all down. Yeah. SEC, sideline sports on my mind. Rob Brown calling game time, highlight shine, executive mind. Brenda Martin keeping Rob in line. Like, subscribe, share it, tell everyone. Sideline sports, y'all come back real soon. Same place, same time, same tune.
My fault. My hair, I touched the light socket. Stuff flew up everywhere.
I'm telling you what.
It's the band. They
band.
take too much power. I've had a talk with them. They won't keep it down. Guys, I'm trying to do a show in here. They're crazy, these guys.
I tell you one thing. I wake up sometimes at 3 in the morning, and my iPhone will say something like iOS update, and they don't tell you when they're doing these things. Hey, folks, Rob Brown here with you on this Wednesday morning. It's a lot going on. It's a lot of pieces to the pie. Look, Brendan's in Ocala. We got 8 monitors. We're streaming on 8 channels. I know that. Hey, look, we have got Chris Lee, Southeastern 16, coming on with us today. Oakley McFerrin, the intern in Auburn. Coach Butch Thompson, Auburn baseball coach, the number 5 ranked Tigers. He'll join us. SEC baseball, not conference play, but games for the SEC teams have already started. Dudley Dawson, inside Arkansas. And, of course, Vince Ferrara, the sports animal, over in Knoxville as well. Hey, do us a favor. Take a picture with your phone of all these QR codes. We're broadcasting live, streaming, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. Brendan's right. Make it simple. Hit the button. You know what to do. You know the drill. Been there before. Look, guys, baseball has started. Chris, Southeastern 16, you do a lot with baseball. And much as you love football and basketball in the Southeastern Conference, you're like my friend Bill Cameron in Auburn. I've known forever. My mentor in broadcasting on the radio and stuff. He's a baseball fanatic. And baseball purists are some of the smartest people that you'll ever come across. First off, thanks more than you know for sharing your time with all of us. Batter up, swing. Let's talk some SEC baseball.
Yeah, I'm conflicted because I don't like the start date. I really don't. I think it ought to be back a couple weeks, among other things. I just think the weather, the fact that a lot of teams have – you saw some horrible baseball in terms of lopsided scores. I think that's part of it. And I think the other thing is we're set up again where the first weekend of SEC baseball is running into the SEC tournament in basketball, which I think does it a disservice. On the other hand, I love baseball. I'm happy to see it. I like it under better circumstances, but I'm glad we're getting to see some of it nonetheless.
Yeah. Oh, you're a college student. I mean, when I was in college, baseball was almost an afterthought. You had some old metal bleachers out there and some guys from the VFW Lodge out there selling candy and drinks. And now it's a big time event. I mean, is it so big that you would take a date to a baseball game? Hell, I would think so.
Yeah, possibly. It's definitely the most fun, like, casual atmosphere of all the sporting events. You can go out there, sit in the outfield, bring whatever you want, your own food, your own drinks, whatever, and just have a good time. I think that's what makes SEC baseball so special.
Well, and also, I think, Chris, when you look at this conference, we're talking about the top 6 teams in the rankings right now. LSU 1, UCLA 2, Texas 3, Arkansas 4, Auburn 5, and Mississippi State 6. And the team that took Auburn out last year, Coastal Carolina, right there, the Chanticleers at number 7, Georgia Tech 8, North Carolina 9, and Oklahoma 10. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Martha and the Vandrells, remember that great song? But that's the SEC. It's that way in every sport, but I think we're the most dominant of any sport in baseball.
Yeah, I think so. I've thought for a while. And by the way, I hope my mic sounds good. There was a mic gate. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, I mean, I believe everything you said. I will say this, though. I don't think we have any clue who the best teams really are yet.
No.
And I looked at the SEC coming in. I said, I think there's 13 teams that could make a regional. And I think of those 13, they could probably all make the College World Series. And I said, I think there's a 14th team that I think could make some noise, but I have some big reservations. That 14th team was Oklahoma. I had a lot of reservations about them, but I said I need to see them play first. I said they've got some talent at pitching, but it's been unproven. And Oklahoma went out and hands down had the best weekend of any SEC team. You talked about the top teams.
Yeah.
I see some early weaknesses with LSU's pitching. I think they'll probably resolve, but not stuff I expected to see. Auburn's good, but it's a weird team in terms of what it's looked like on the field was not at all what I thought it would look like based on what I knew. Mississippi State had trouble scoring runs against Hofstra opening weekend. There's been some, Vanderbilt has not been the team that I thought it would be. I mean, I think Vanderbilt's interesting, but the way it's happened has been different. So I just think, withhold your judgment, but I do think it is a very, very talented league based on, what I knew of the guys coming in.
Yeah. And, another thing, I'm going to switch to basketball real quick before Coach Thompson joins us. This SEC basketball race. Oh, first you and then quickly back to Chris. Are you surprised that Florida is just starting to pull away? Arkansas is still they're close, but the Gators look to be maybe a repeat team.
Yeah, I think they're possibly a candidate to repeat in the sense. I mean, you have the best front court in the nation. Your floor is low, and your front court is the best front court in the nation. And if they can get anything at all out of their guards in March, nobody wants to see them in the country. And I think they will. And I think they'll end up running away with the SEC, and they already started to have.
Yeah. All right. One more thing, and we'll go right to Coach. Chris, your thoughts on the SEC race? Is it Florida's to lose?
Yeah, and to your point, are you surprised about Florida is what you asked. I am and I'm not. I mean, because you look at the guys they've got, the front court, they're just hard for anybody to deal with. On the other hand, I watched their guard play in December, wasn't super impressed. I mean, they've got talent, but they can't shoot. And there's still 347 and three-point shooting. So there's a little bit of me that says, hey, let's pump the brakes just a little bit in March. Arizona's got the same kind of issue, although maybe it's a little different. So I can see it. I mean, I think they're the most talented team in the league, but I still do have some questions like, are you going to run up against a team where you're going to need a three-point shot and you don't really – I mean, Xavier Lee on some nights can do it, but it's not – it's not nearly as good a team as they had last year where the guard play was stellar.
Yeah, it's the league 14 last year, maybe going to get 9 or 10 this year. All right, let's bring in our guest, another one of our guests, Coach Butch Thompson, born and raised in Amory, Mississippi, in the suburb of Coontail, Mississippi. One of the best baseball coaches, but one of the best people. There are not many coaches in the country that I would say I would want my kid to hang out with and be coached by and be challenged every day, but you're definitely one of them, Coach Thompson. And we've got Oakley, the intern, a sophomore at Auburn, Chris Lee, Southeastern 16, and, of course, executive producer Brendan Martin. Coach, it's cold outside, but I remember as a kid starting baseball practice on a Saturday morning always in February, right after duck season, and it was still real cold. And you know what we did? We just dealt with it. How fired up are you that the season started?
Well, I think everybody around college baseball is excited. I think I just heard you guys talking about college basketball. I know it's in full swing, but we're getting ramped up, getting ready. Got our 4 weeks of non-conference to try to find your identity, try to figure things out before you get to this great league. And some ups and downs along the way, but I know everybody's excited to get out after that big ice storm. Especially, I have a daughter that works up in Oxford, and I know they've had a tough time in Nashville and all that, but feels like the last week we're finding a way to get on the field and get college baseball started.
Well, it is, and I'm in Memphis, which is a hotbed for baseball. Coach, if you look at Christian Brothers High School, my alma mater on Walnut Grove, we've got about 15 state championships. It's a big sport.
Okay, now, I grew up in Colorado, and I played baseball. And I played a lot of inside practices. I played a lot. When spring baseball was done in the gym.
Yeah. Okay. And, Coach, you said something about playing a team like Michigan or Colorado that has to play indoors. It teaches you to get out of your comfort zone, doesn't it?
I think their technique's sound. All the teams in the South are out on the field running around on 3 acres. And when you get confined inside, I think you wind up – you got an opportunity to build an identity. Your techniques get strong. They got these machines now that can throw it as hard as you want to, and you can get short, flat, quick approaches. There's something to be said about, boxing yourself in and getting in a small confined space and being inside, and you got to love it more. I feel like some of the guys love the sport more. If you're playing it up north and you're committed to the sport, I feel the same way with coaches. I love going to coaches conventions up north because those guys, for them to be coaching baseball, there's got to be a greater love to go through every bit of that and before you get on the field. And sometimes I feel like that's can be an advantage in some ways.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. You can't have a new reality with an old mentality. That's true. Chris Lee, Southeastern 16. Let's get some questions for Coach Thompson because I love baseball. Greatest sport to attend in person there is.
Hey, Butch, I think your team was one of my favorites in the SEC coming into the year. I love what you've got. I'm trying to make sense of your first week because I thought your lineup would be one of the best in the league with those sophomores coming back. I know you got a big injury to Rembert. And then your pitching staff was great, but it wasn't necessarily the guys that I thought would dominate off the jump. Two of the guys that I love were two guys that you pitched in midweek yesterday in Alvarez and Chatterton. Look, you see it every day. I see it on paper. What do you make of your first week? Because I think you got a lot of guys that are going to be big for you that didn't give you much, and some guys like your pitching transfers and your two bullpen guys that were great in the rotation this weekend.
Yeah, we did a little competition of like who can really fill up the strike zone, and the first three starters that we threw out there, those were our high strike percentage guys. So there was kind of a contest, if you will, and they did, and we could have lost 2 or 3 of those games just because our offense has not posted yet. I guess game 2 of the doubleheader that we played the other day, we scored a bunch of runs, got the leadoff man on the first 6 games, but the other 3 games it's been a struggle to score. Marciano was probably going to be a rotation guy. He's a transfer. Jackson Sanders is our sophomore that's grown and developed after 15 appearances last year. And then Petrovic's been here his whole career as well. And they won the job by throwing strikes. Now, Alvarez started a super regional last year. He started last night against Cincinnati. Chatterton threw in the conference, started games in the SEC last year. So, we played a really good opponent last night that absolutely was in full identity, and we've yet to find any, especially from an offensive standpoint. And you're right. We thought that would be the strength of the ball club, and can the pitching keep getting better year over year? So I don't think 4 games tells a tale of who we are, but nonetheless, I'm not happy with the start. Offensively for sure, and some things to figure out because we're about to head to Arlington, Texas, and play 3 real teams, which is great. That's how you get prepared. That's how you get ready, and that tournament's been good for us. But we were 0 for 12 with runners on last night, to your point, and we're 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. And if you play a team that bunts and runs and do those type things, and they get ahead, and you can't score the entire night, I can't bring in Hetzler, I can't bring in Brewer, our 2 closers there, getting down in the game. And we got 3 guys at the end of the game, their first appearance, but they kind of run away from us late in the ball game there. So pretty disappointing night waking up this morning to be with you this morning. But we got to keep figuring out. I do believe in the pieces. I do believe in the people. But we're going to have some production, and the offense will have to be really good. We thought that from the start. That's your impression. That's also my conviction. And so we've got to get some offense going for sure. Chase Fralick and Bub Terrell are 2 of those sophomores you mentioned. They've absolutely done a good job, but you can't just get a hit and score. You're going to have to hit home runs to score, which both of those are only 2 home runs. But we got to play offense. I'm not talking about one person. I'm talking about a collective group of being able to show me an identity and execute an offensive plan.
Yeah. Oak, jump in here. And your task, Oakley, is to get the Sigma Nu, the entire chapter over there in the outfield cheering at every home game. Coach Thompson, you've been over there to the Sigma Nu house and rallied those guys. You are a great speaker. Oak, questions for Coach Butch Thompson for the currently 5 ranked Auburn Tigers.
Yes, sir. With a little bit of inconsistency in this first week on the offensive end, what are you kind of looking for this weekend with some big Power 4 games coming up? And what is your level of confidence, having one of the best lineups in all of college baseball last season, that y'all can match that production?
Yeah. What you got to get to do is, whether you're on a practice field or whether you're at home or on the road, or looking at the front of the jersey, that's what a boy would do. What a man would do is he would apply the same standard and same effort to every day that he takes a baseball field, regardless of what it is, whether it's a practice, whether it's playing in a major league stadium in a dome like we will this week, or if you're playing at home. We've got to understand what that is. But we've got advantage counts right now, Oak, and it's we're fouling it off opposite in the dugout. And when you get down 2 strikes, you got to be able to cover the bottom part of the zone, and we're still swinging over. So I do believe confidence is the number one variable to human performance. And right now, this game is baseball is hard at a high level. But it's hard to walk through there without confidence, and it's like we're waiting for something big to happen or some floodgate to open to get started. And we have to stay with it. But a standard and an effort's got to be applied every day, or you'll like get up for this game or be down for this game, and you see that a lot with young people. We're trying to get a consistent standard and effort for each and every day, but. We got to get guys feeling better. Not a great look in their eye early on. I mean, you just look last night as I'm looking around the ballpark. It is absolutely slammed on a Tuesday night in February, and I think it's 2 outs in the ninth, and we pinch hit Bristol Carter, who didn't start last night, who's one of our main guys, and he hits a ground ball. He beats it out, and they call him out to end the game where we can walk off the field. And I reviewed it, and I'm not trying to be an ass. I'm not trying to be anything except, from start to finish, I want guys to learn how you fight for every inch, you're invested in every pitch, and I don't feel like I'm getting that now. So we challenged that, got a safe call. The next guy strikes out. Now the game's over, but we got to keep leading an example. Gabe Gross is our hitting coach, and Carl Nunemaker and myself. We got to lead these guys to get them going. That's our job, and we're supposed to be needed. And I feel like we're needed right now. And so I'll have some protection for these guys, but behind the scenes, there's some demand of being able to get to yourself. I've seen these guys. I've been with them since August, and I'm seeing them manifest in a different way on the baseball field. And we got to move from that quickly.
Yeah. Chris Lee, jump back in here. Fear doesn't stop death. I read it stops life, and anxiety can really eat you alive. And you're big on the psychology, coach. I love it. When you're walking from the dugout to the plate in a big moment, don't let the moment be bigger than it is. We need a t-shirt, Butchisms, because your way of saying the right thing at the time when it matters most. I listen to Auburn baseball with Andy on the app all the time. And wherever I am, it is, there's no better sport to listen to on the radio, but it'll eat you alive. And you always tell me how calm you are, like a duck. On the surface, you look calm, but underneath your feet are spinning like wheels. But Chris, jump back in here.
But you may be the wrong guy to ask this because the way your games are being played is very different than what I'm seeing across the country. But I look around the scoreboards this weekend, and I know some of it is mismatched competition and getting the back end of, lower tier bullpens and stuff like that. But I see the run scoring numbers. Virginia gets 69 runs in a series this week, and some of these were with run rules. You're seeing the high scores in Arlington. You see an EVs approaching 120 already. We're in mid-February. What is going on with just the state of baseball to where the conditions just seem to favor offense and the ball is flying out of yards everywhere?
Yeah, it runs in cycles, right? So we had the -5s and everything got where it was almost dangerous.
Yeah.
And then we deadened the thing a little bit, and that's probably where I made a living there. I think like 2012, 13, 14 at Mississippi State, we were like 2 in ERA for the whole country, and we're in a big ballpark, and it became very pitching friendly, and nobody liked that. So then we lowered the seams right there around 14, 15, and all you're seeing is a build out.
Yeah.
And when they said they changed the bats back in the day, they're around 10 or 11. All they did was imply the rules that were there. They didn't change anything. They enforced the rule. They didn't change the bat. They decided to enforce the rule. And because I think people were getting concerned, and to your point, what you're saying, and why I call it a phase, is everybody loves the offense. So all that's done since 15 has been building back up at at a little scale, a little bell curve building back up. And we're the leadership where the people in charge have to pay attention is if this gets dangerous.
Yeah.
And there's a balance to the game and everything. And, at least arms are supposed to be fresh and they're still building up. I think there's gaps now. I think there's guys that, our guys can throw 75 pitches right now. So how far does that get you? Four and a third, 5 innings if things are
Yeah.
going great and you're changing pitchers a little bit more. I needed two guys that were built up, Alvarez and Chatterton, which we mentioned earlier. The goal was for them to be able to go 4-4 or get to 8 innings and have a lead and give it to Hetzler or Brewer, a righty or lefty. Let us choose when we get to that stage. Instead, we get 7, and then now you're behind, and you turn it over to some other guys, and where's the drop off in your staff? And so maybe you're seeing some of that, but you're seeing gaps where guys aren't built up to full pitch count. So I think it'll get a little bit better. But to my bigger point is, if we're seeing these exit velocities coming off the bat, there's a pitcher that are only 60 feet, 6 inches, but really he's about 53 feet when that ball is released. And I think that's what we talked about at our convention. That's what I think we're talked about. We all know that these numbers, because we're looking at the numbers and the analytics, that this thing is heating up again, which is exciting. But we're back to, it feels like one of those stages to where, you need a L screen almost, and that's not where we want to be. And we got to find some balance in the game. And I do think the runs scored will come down a little bit once a couple more weeks and the pitchers get built out to full pitch counts. You'll see, the better pitchers on staffs get a little more length in the game. That'll make a difference. But we're in an offensive mode, and we've been building for it the last 2 or 3 years, and it's here. And how far do we let it go?
Yeah.
I have one follow-up, if you don't mind, then I've got it
No.
up for another show. I don't want to put you have they changed anything with the composition of the baseballs?
Well, that's the questions everybody's asking. Balls,
Yeah.
bats,
Yeah.
equipment, everything. It feels, but that's where everybody's asking the question frantically, like, what's going on? And I don't know who has the answers or if there's any. I'm not hearing any good ones. I know that this thing happens in our industry, and I've seen it by 33 years now. I've seen it 3 or 4 times where you keep it down a little bit, and I don't want it to go back too far where it's favored, where it's too much pitching and you can't hit home runs. I'm looking for the fairness of the game. I think that's where it's the best, and we go through these phases of it getting skewed one way or the other. And again, to your point, everybody's asking the questions: ball, bat, technology. The boys are bigger, faster, stronger. I think it's a little bit of everything, but I'm hearing a lot of ball questions now that are harder to get the answers.
Yeah. All right, Chris Lee, Southeastern 16, great stuff as always. And how do they follow you?
Yeah, check us out on YouTube at Southeastern 16. You can get us at any of our audio podcast destinations. We do football, baseball, basketball year round, and we'll do a weekend preview tomorrow. So looking forward to doing that.
All right. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Coach, baseball has become so big, and Auburn, here right now, the rankings, it's so long to go in the season. Your roster, what percentage of your players are high school baseball in Alabama and Tennessee and Georgia and Florida in Mississippi is really good. Do you have to go far to recruit? Will you recruit anywhere if a kid's interested?
Well, we can recruit anywhere, and this is my 25th year in the SEC. It was much more regional then. The advent of the SEC network, really the success of the Southeastern Conference has lended. You can't just go get somebody. UCLA's good out there, and all over the nation geographically, teams are good. But I do see with the coaches, with the facilities, with the interest, with the fan bases, you've absolutely seen. We got California kids, we got New Jersey kids, we got Michigan. Ike Iverson was from Michigan, a first rounder last year for us. So the reach of our conference as it's come along, and I think the last 6 national championships have come from our league. So you're seeing a reach with our league to be able to recruit anywhere, but at the same time, Casey Mize and Keegan Thompson and Tanner Burns and Some of our best players that we've ever had are in a footprint of Alabama. We're close to Georgia, about 30 miles. So Atlanta's always been big. Ryan Bliss right there in LaGrange, Georgia, 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever lose the identity of you want to be good close to home plate and building a team and close to your roots of who you are. So I don't think I'll ever lose a footprint, but the reach of our conference from 25 years ago to now, it's 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 night and day.
Yeah.
We have an opportunity to recruit from coast to coast and throughout the entire country now.
Yeah. Okay. I know you got to go to class. Get out there. Go say hi to Coach. Bring the whole Sigma Newhouse. Okay.
Yes, sir. Will do. Good luck this weekend, Coach.
Thank you. Have a great day, brother.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. We got Dudley Dawson, Inside Arkansas. Coach, if you can stay just a couple of minutes. I know, Dudley, you love baseball. He is a Cardinals fanatic. Cardinals, Celtics, and Cowboys from a small town. Newport, Arkansas, but he's from Balch, which is a small farming community, kind of like where you grew up. But man, I love baseball. And Dudley, if you got a question or two before Coach has to go right ahead. And Vince Ferrara from the Sports Animal in Knoxville as well. But Coach, first off, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. People absolutely fans, not just of Auburn, but fans of baseball, and more importantly, fans of just the great things about life are big fans of yours, including
I don't
me.
really have a question, but I did want to say that Coach Thompson is one of the best that I enjoy covering. He does things the right way. He handles losses and wins in the same manner with the media after the ball games, and I really appreciate that. And just a big fan.
Yeah. I mean, I am too. And Vince, say hello to Coach Thompson. You
Hey,
love.
Coach Thompson.
I think you love baseball as much as Dudley does. There's so many guys that are on this show, baseball, like Chris Lee as well. It's their first love.
Yeah, I'm on the Tennessee baseball broadcast, do the non-conference home games on the Vol Network with John Wilkerson, the longtime voice of the Vols. And just would love, Coach, I think I've actually been on once when you've been on the show before. And just curious, your thoughts on the transition from Tony Vitello going to MLB and Josh Elander stepping up after being a part of this program for so long and now leading this program.
Yeah. Hey, first off, I'd say there is a greatest generation, right, that fought our world wars. The second greatest generation, and we're never going to have it again, are the guys that listen to Major League Baseball on the radio. So,
Yep.
Dudley, I imagine you're one of those guys. I hate
Yes.
I hate that we're never going to get that again, where people are sitting in their beds and get that radio on late at night. But to answer the question, it's so complex of thinking of the opportunity given to Tony, what that can do for the future of baseball. It's so interesting to sit here and see. Josh was a really good baseball player. He's been around really good people for a long time. I think and I think people that are really in the know have an understanding of how important he was to the operation. Tony would say that. The players would say that. And I always love it when it's endearing when you see a head coach that's been successful and when he bounces and those players immediately go to the brightest star, the brightest light, if you will. And it seemed like they run to Elander in this circumstance. So I was an assistant coach for 23 years before giving this amazing opportunity, 11 years ago. And every time I see somebody have, some of the best mark success in the program's history, and that leads to change, and you have somebody that was there and a part of it to get an opportunity to lead. So I think a lot of the recruiting, I think a lot of the success they had would point toward Josh. And I just think from where I sit, I love to see that opportunity extended. And I think he'll do a nice job. I'm a little bit older, but my assistant coaches have that relationship of knowing him a little bit. And I would say even past the surface level, all these younger guys that I'm around that would know him, it would be really positive, the feedback that I've got. So I want him to do great because, again, I care about this league. And every time we hook it up, with every team in our league, Arkansas and Tennessee, we're all trying to kill each other. But I do think there's respect across, and we want good people on the other side making a difference, just like we're trying to do at our own school.
Yeah.
Appreciate
And
it.
Coach, I know you got to go, but I'll always remember October of 2015 after lunch one day, Ben Clanton on the trading floor at Duncan Williams investment banking firm in Memphis goes, Brown, I just got a call from a friend in Starkville. He's a huge Mississippi State fan. Ben was an umpire for 9 years. He goes, y'all just hired Butch Thompson. I went, oh, he's coming back. He goes, y'all are going to win. And I mean, and it's been an incredible ride, and you're just getting cranked up because you are a young man. I just love baseball because watching it on TV is great. Listening to it on radio is even better. But being at the game with the radio is the ultimate. And so you getting ready. When are y'all heading out to Fort Worth tomorrow?
We got a bus loading up today, and we'll head out first thing in the morning, go practice Thursday, and then get ready to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's amazing. It's only game 4. I already feel like my back's against the wall, and I got to scratch and claw fight the whole day. Which is, hey, if it didn't feel like opening day the other day, man, we feel like we're right in the throes of it, and we got to fight and get better.
Hey,
Save
Coach,
that feeling for SEC play, Coach.
Yeah.
speaking of baseball on the radio, this generation we have now will never know about putting your little transistor radio under your pillow, listening to a St. Louis Cardinal game on KMOX that started at 9 in San Francisco. And 9 was your bedtime, but Mom didn't want to die on that hill. So she knew I had that transistor radio under there. Those were great times.
And I hate that. I know that when he said you're a Cardinals fan, I know where it started from. And I hate that these young guys are not getting that. I know they got different mediums and they got more than we ever dreamed of, but
We had
there was
baseball on
something.
radio. They've got social media.
Yeah, there was something awesome to where you're listening to a radio like that at 11 o'clock at night,
There we go.
but you actually were watching the game because your mind was visualizing and seeing those guys out there on the field. That's a miss.
I will never forget, before you go, being in Paris one time in the summer of 1986. I had this little radio with me, and I could pick up, I think it was WCAU in Philadelphia, listening to a Phillies Cardinals game. And that just made me feel kind of homesick a little bit. And you hear that, you feel like you're back in America. But, Coach, as always, thank you more than you know for sharing your time. And let's do it again very soon. And you're why we love baseball. It's the people. And the May family, Waller and Guy and all of them are some of the biggest fans, Susan, that you've got. Biddy and Bo Coffee there in Auburn and Bill Cameron and all my friends. But you make it fun. So good luck out in Fort Worth.
Enjoyed hanging out with you today, guys. Have a great week.
All right.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.
Appreciate it. Guys, that is a lot of fun. And I think it speaks volumes for you, Dudley and Vince, because both of y'all, whenever we have people on like that, y'all know so many people. And it makes a big ass difference to me that they know it and y'all know them. You know what you're talking about. And Dudley and Vince, there's nothing like it. This little transistor radio survived being thrown against the wall inside of Liberty Bowl Stadium in 1981 when Auburn lost to Wake Forest in a fit of rage. And it went all over the place. And I pieced it back, and Humpty Dumpty it still works. I mean, I bought new batteries. This thing has got to be 46, 47 years old. But KMOX, AM 1120 with Jack Buckin, Mike Shannon, Anheuser-Busch. Vince, you grew up in South Florida. I mean, the Rays weren't around when you were a kid.
No.
Who was your team? I'm going to guess the Braves or the Yankees.
You know what? Interestingly enough, Braves later, but when I was younger, I liked the Cincinnati Reds. I just love that logo, the C logo with the baseball guy and running and stuff. And I used to write on a board outside. I'd write the Cincinnati Reds lineup and the Pete Rose, Dave Concepcion, Eddie Milner, just so many of those guys. And I'd pretend to be those guys in the backyard, just throwing the baseball, up against a wall or wood. So yeah, it was the Reds, and then the Braves were later on after that. But the Rays now, even though we don't have a whole lot to be excited about, other than getting a new stadium walking distance from Mama Ferrara's house, if they go with that plan finally.
Yeah. Well, Buddy Martin, by the way, is a huge Rays fan. He lived in Denver a long time. Figured he'd be a, Colorado Rockies fan. Dudley Dawson, man, look at that background. The Arch, St. Louis. You ever been to the top of the Arch?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know how it shakes and moves?
Hmm.
All right, little shout out to all of our architects and engineers. You know, concrete has no natural tensile strength. So as a building goes up in height, I think it's like what 700 or 800 feet high. You have to have a rebar in there so it can have a little bit of sway. But that doesn't make you feel any less your stomach up in your throat, does it? I mean, but what a place to watch a Cardinals game from if you're ever up there.
Yeah,
Dudley,
I've been to 198 Cardinal games in different places.
Wow.
198 this
Who's
summer.
counting, right?
This summer, I'm planning on getting to 200. So
wow. I love it. Look, inside Arkansas, it's a great place. You want to find out about the Razorbacks. Jim Cherry and Robert Hill, two Razorback friends of mine I hunt with over here in Park in East Arkansas. They had a question for Dudley. They said, ask Dudley if he thinks John Calipari is having fun again being a coach. He kind of rejuvenated kind of after, staying too long at Kentucky, and that he is just hitting his stride again. And does he see what we see happening, a return of Eddie Sutton years, Nolan Richardson height of greatness?
yeah, absolutely, and I do think that. How do I translate this? I think they had a lot of great times at Kentucky, but it had turned into a bad marriage, and he needed to go somewhere else and have a new narrative. And I think that outside of that 0-6 start in SEC conference play last year,
Yeah.
he had a ball, and I think he also is loving being an elder statesman. And not necessarily you kids get out of my yard, but y'all calm down. You got to change everything. And I think he's enjoying that, and he's smiling a lot. And, this is a good place to live up here.
I'm going to a function. It was supposed to have been January 29th at Hot Springs Country Club with Chuck Dicus and all these Razorback people they invited me to. Sigma Nu function. Man, I'm excited about it. It's rescheduled for like April 16th with Jim and Pat McClellan. And the more I get to know the Arkansas people, and Vince, when you drive across the bridge from Memphis back into Arkansas, it's like a switch flips. It's a land of opportunity. It's just, I call it the get her done state. That snow we had recently, they were out plowing during the snow, scraping, salting. I don't think Memphis did any plowing and I kept track of it, guys. 17 days we had snow and ice on the ground over here. Vince, you've got a lot of great information. This Tennessee report brought to you by Matei's Garage, 4930 Black Road, right there. Mendenhall, right there by Folks Folly. Matei's Garage, owned by Larry Lawrence Cervetti. I've known him since 9th grade. He's kind of like Larry Mondello, and I was the beeve, man. But he bought this business, been around since 1972, of his uncle Ralph Matei's. They do great work on your car, truck, SUV. I love them. But Larry is a Vol for life, been a season ticket holder forever. And he said, tell Vince I'm proud to have him when he comes on here. And so let's talk Vols.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Never a shortage around here, as you guys know. So, we talked Tennessee baseball with Butch Thompson, and off to 4-0 start to Josh Elander era. This is a really talented team, one of the younger teams in the league, but super talented. Couple great portal additions, so off to a 4-0 start. It'll toughen up for them next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend when they go to Arlington. They'll actually match up with number 1 UCLA, which will be one of the better early season baseball. Yeah, one of the better early season matchups in college baseball. Lady Vol softball, number 1, as Dudley, number 1 team unanimous in the country after beating not only 6 top 25 teams, but 4 top 10 teams. And so they're unanimous number 1 for the first time in program history, even with their success. So that's off to a great start. Lady Vols basketball is struggling right now. Kim Caldwell, got a lot of attention and criticism for her kind of calling out her players, and then walked it back a little bit. And we've seen coaches all over the place, men's and women's, being critical of their own players. So they responded and played really well against Missouri, but then lost a close game at home to Texas, and then they were blown out at Ole Miss again last night. So they're struggling right now. Lost 5 of 7, and fans are starting to be critical of Kim Caldwell for the first time. And then, the Tennessee basketball team is, won 6 of 7. They got Oklahoma tonight. And, quad 2 game. Dudley, these kind of games, if once your schedule softens up, you just got to take care of business. You just can't take that L. If it's not a quad 1 game, even if it is, you don't want to. But, man, you don't want that sore spot with a quad 2 loss. So Tennessee will host Oklahoma tonight, who's starting to play better now. You can't just assume those teams lower in the standings.
We can't hear you, man.
Yeah, lost Rob.
Brilliant. Okay. A lot of stuff going on in Knoxville. I love it. And both of y'all, hey, listen, you put these notes together, and I saw that text. So cover it all. I will be the point guard, as Buddy calls me. I just want to engage y'all and let y'all, it's about y'all putting out information. A question on Tennessee with Joey Aguilar. You feel confident he's going to be the starting quarterback at the end of next season?
Oh, I'm not putting confidence on something that has to do with the courts.
Okay.
It's the judge's decision. I know it's home court advantage, with their approach, and they're not the only ones that took that approach. But the judge has been doing it for a long time, and he was very adamant that, hey, this is about what's right or wrong, and he really drilled Aguilar's attorney for a good part of their session, that was on Friday. So, he said they would decide in short order. And even if they do, if it goes in Joey Aguilar's direction, then the NCAA is almost certainly going to appeal it. So there won't be clarity. It'll certainly look good and favorable for that. And interestingly, Chris Lowe from On3 just wrote about it. He's going to go to the combine. Now, he can't participate in any field or throwing stuff because he had surgery on his shoulder, but he'll on his arm, but he'll go there for a short window just in case it's it gets overturned in an appeal or something. He doesn't want to lose his eligibility. But that's the big thing that everybody's been tracking. If it's not him, it's one of the two young quarterbacks in George McIntyre, Faison Brandon. So those guys' worlds will change if Joey Aguilar comes back for sure. And
I think he's going to get to come back because everybody gets to come back. I mean, it may take a while, like with Trinidad Amblis. His lawyer lives just down the road from me here.
Okay.
Tom Morris, he gets stuff done.
Yes.
But I mean, to me, there's a guy got a 9th year the other day. Was it Jermichael Finley's on his 9th team?
7th team in 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think eventually he'll get to play. I think the NCAA has very little power to stop stuff now.
Yeah, I do. And Tom Mars is the guy, Jackie Sherrill told us this, that got the transfer portal to be the law of the land October 15th of 2018. And he just, like I say, all he does is win in court. Dudley, like Vince did, and we're going to go back and forth with this, what's going on up at Arkansas? Notes, because can't read your mind, and you've got a lot of great stories that you're writing on. There's TJ, but read that story in The Athletic about him, guys. He's going to have a career, like the guy the Energizer Bunny. Hell, TJ Finley, 7 schools, 7 years. He's taking advantage of every loophole in the books, and he's still playing. One thing you can't call him is a quitter. So I'll just say that. But Dud, Eugene Dawson, Arkansas notes that you're writing about.
Well, I think one of the first things is to mention softball, like Vince did. The Arkansas softball team is 8-1. Has won all of 8 games have been by the run rule. I think 6 of them have come after they had that one loss. But they lost the best player in the country last year in first baseman Bree Ellis, and they're just coming out and just swatting the ball all over the place. So that's one thing. Obviously, baseball had a 3-1 weekend in Arlington. Lost to TCU. Got down early and wasn't able to get over the top, but they're going to be really good. But in this land of now where the coaches are fine with calling teams out, Arkansas struck out 7 times in its fourth game down to 46 times in 4 games. So guess what they're going to concentrate on this weekend when Xavier's coming down? Making contact. So I mean that they did a lot of good things pitching. Some young guys did well, but you can't strike out that much. And he made the point that if these certain guys continue to strike out, they'll be over here watching with me. He's got a lot of good young ones that will get in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hog baseball is like vol baseball and Auburn baseball. These crowds keep growing. It's getting bigger and bigger.
Then in football, obviously,
Yeah.
Coach Summerfield had a press conference yesterday. He and his staff are kind of getting a little breather since it's a dead period right now. A lot of them have now gotten to see Fayetteville by coming out of the football offices and all that. But I think people are excited about the transition. They know how tough it's going to be to resuscitate the program, but I think that more people have fallen in love with him since the announcement than they were when the announcement was made.
You're going to fall in love with him the way he works, too. I mean, and he'll get involved with, I'm sure, Children's Hospital of Arkansas. And Jim and Pat McClellan, I'm going to give a thumbs up to them, by the way. They helped at a recent dinner 3 weeks ago raise like $2.1 million for the hospital. And I know Ryan Silverfield also is big on animal rescue, he and his wife. And we've got twin daughters. I guess they're about a year old now. But I think it's cool the way he's able to work the portal and turn a roster year to year.
One last thing on football.
Yeah.
Arkansas said they were going to put more money into the coaching staff and recruiting and all that. He has 13 full-time coaches. Arkansas last year had 10. That's what they've been around, for the most time. And but right now he has 11 because 2 of those are returning. One's returning to the NFL, and Marion Hobby, who was one of the 2 line coaches, and Clint Trickett. During an interview, during the press conference yesterday, Clint Trickett, it leaked out that he's taking the offensive coordinator job at Maryland. He was the quarterback coach here. Obviously, that's a step up to be the offensive coordinator. So right now he has 11 coaches, but he'll be back to 13 sooner than later.
Well, Clint Trickett, one of Rick Trickett's sons, Rick at 78, coaching. I think he left Jack State. He's going to West Virginia with Rich Rod. Damn. You start thinking about these Marion Hobby. I remember him. He was from Irondale, Alabama, played defensive tackle at Tennessee. Hell of a player, Vince. Do you know him?
Yeah. I don't know him personally, but obviously we've
covered him. Yeah.
He was at Tennessee last year. Mm-hmm. He was one of those, off the field, analyst type, and to have a guy with his experience helping and working with Rodney Garner was amazing. So he was there at Tennessee last year, left for that Arkansas job for a cup of coffee and some barbecue.
Yeah, I shook his hand Friday night at the high school coaches convention, said, looking forward to covering you, and all that kind of stuff. The next day he was going to the NFL.
Well, and Rob, there's a coaching change on Tennessee's staff as well. Not quite, the 2 openings, but Tennessee had something kind of similar. Michael Hunter, who came over from Ohio State, was one of Jim Knowles' hires on this revamped defensive staff to coach cornerbacks, a younger guy, but one that was familiar with Knowles' defense. So he worked with him at Ohio State so he could help kind of pass along and help with that transition of teaching it to the players from the coach's standpoint. And after a little bit more than a month, he took a job as assistant cornerbacks coach with the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah.
So they had to fill that position quickly, and they did with Derek Jones, who he worked with, Jim Knowles did at Duke, and was on the Virginia Tech staff with Brent Pry. And he was out of work when they cleared out their staff there. 25 years of coaching experience as well. And one of the number one draft or potential first round draft picks, Delane Mansour Delane from LSU. Derek Jones coached him at Virginia Tech. So he's coached some NFL players under the circumstances, a guy that knows Knowles, pretty good hire to quickly turn that around and fill that spot. So that was the one coaching change. And then spring practice will start on March 16th, and the orange and white game, spring game, will be on April 11th. I imagine, Dudley, probably pretty similar dates for you guys there at Arkansas.
April 25th for Arkansas, yeah.
Okay.
For the spring game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and again, it's like a support group here, folks. We've got spring practice starting probably at Hawaii right now. So we're going to be all right. We got football, we got basketball, baseball, a lot of overlap, gymnastics, softball, swimming, and diving. The SEC, there's so much happening right now. So I'm going to go back and forth. It's kind of some SEC national perspectives, Q&A, ping pong. Vince, first off, do you like the way the SEC is responding to what's happening in the Big Ten in terms of off the field, coaching hires, assistants, head coaches, whatever? Is it going to be what it takes to get back on top?
You talking about football specifically?
Yeah, specifically football.
I honestly, I don't know how much gap that they've closed. I think Tennessee's in a better position with what they've hired defensively. But look, the SEC will still have the most players in the draft, and the Big Ten will still have scoreboard from the last 3 national championships.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen anything that would, for me, would drastically move the needle. The Big Ten is top heavy, and they're cashing in with championships. And I think the SEC is deeper in terms of quality teams from the second tier to the bottom, but that doesn't equate to scoreboard. So I do think that there's more, more room to improve. But, you can make a case that there's a number of teams that are better, not only from a coaching standpoint, from a portal standpoint, but that's just on paper. We got to see how it plays out. So I'm taking a wait and see on them closing the gap with the Big Ten because they have those championships.
The SEC needs its own Indiana.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to put it there. Indiana was down at the bottom. Now they, now won national championship, and we all knew how good the Big Ten was, even if they yapped their gums too much, when they weren't that good. But they've proven it on the field now. But I do think that I'm sure Arkansas would love to be the SEC's Indiana. South Carolina, many others would be. But I think it's important for the SEC to have a team like that come back up in the standings to help the conference in terms of the narrative and just what people think of around the country, because it's Big Ten, Big Ten, Big Ten now.
Well, and the other one, we had our Indiana last year in the SEC, Vanderbilt with 10 wins, but the way Indiana just was so dominant, they won everything. Vanderbilt's losses, Alabama was 30-14, and Texas 34-31, but they were down 34-10 and fought back gallantly. Another thing, guys, all the stuff is we're getting ready for spring practice. In 30 seconds, Vince, number one priority on offense or defense for Tennessee to be better? Same question for you, Dudley, Eugene, Dawson.
Well, I mean, obviously, quarterback is such an unknown. It starts there, and it's been talked about a lot, and we'll continue to talk about it. But whether it's Aguilar or whether it's one of the young guys, they got to be really good at that position as a starting point. The other thing is that they really didn't improve, arguably, at any position on offense to the portal. They did a ton on defense, where you could have 7 portal guys as starters. But they didn't really change a whole lot on offense. So they're going to need the guys that they have to be better and elevate. And maybe you do find a diamond in the rough, but it's a little bit more of an unknown in terms of the offense improving, at least on paper.
All right, Dudley.
Not breaking a story here, but the defense sucked here last year, and they really went out to try and address that situation, and I think they did at all 3 levels. You had one secondary guy coming back, one defensive end guy coming back. They went out and got a bunch of guys, some who were highly recruited that they didn't get the first time, went to places and played limited snaps last year. They think that they've got a nice mix of that on the defensive line and what they had left over. But, I think that's the biggest point. They're also, we're going to watch the quarterback, A.J. Hill from Memphis, K.J. Jackson from Arkansas. There's a couple of other guys there that, that will be in the mix, but those are going to be your quarterback battle. And they made it clear yesterday, Tim Cramsey, the offensive coordinator, and Coach Ryan Silverfield, that they're not looking to make a decision anytime soon unless somebody just breaks away from the pack. So I think Arkansas' starting quarterback will probably be announced in mid-August.
Yeah. I mean, Silverfield, Ryan coached 8 years in the NFL, went to the Bowl School in Jacksonville. He's 45. He's been coaching since he was 18. Mm-hmm. He's you talk about a gym rat, coach rat. He is that guy, and God, he loves to work. It's going to be fun. Vince, right now, SEC basketball race, we got just a couple of minutes. Can anybody catch Florida?
Nope. I mean, no disrespect to Arkansas. I think Arkansas is the second best team. And I do think Arkansas has upside and explosiveness with those freshmen, including Acuff, to get into, a little bit farther into the NCAA tournament and maybe be the next biggest threat to Florida. I think Tennessee has the potential to get there as well, but I do think it's Florida and everyone else, and the Gators are, with the way their guards are playing and as good as that front court is, it's them and everybody else, in my opinion.
No offense taken, because that's my same opinion. I think Florida's the best team in the league. Like Arkansas, while it has proven now that it can win on the road, hasn't proven it can win on the road at a place like Alabama, at a place like Florida. So I think they'll get an L when they go to Florida, and they may get an L tonight. And I don't really see Florida losing anymore. I mean, they are rolling. We were kicking them to the side early in the year, going to have the national championship, hangover and all that, but it didn't happen. So yeah, I agree that Florida is the best team in the league. You can come get me if you want to, Razorback fans, but let's be objective about this. Now, if they go down and win at Alabama, and I think it's the third game before the conference is over with, and win at Florida, then I'll change my mind, obviously. But I try to do things objectively and are good and could go a long way in the tournament. But I don't believe they're catching Florida in the standings, even though they're just one game behind.
Yeah, this SEC race it's fun, and I mean, if we get 9 or 10 teams in the league this year and in the tournament NCAA, that is going to be a hell of an accomplishment considering.
And it's normal. I mean, it's normal. 14 was not normal.
No, it was not normal. Vince?
Rob, the race is for the double bye in the top 4. That's where the race is. That's where you have a lot more teams than spots to get in to get that double bye in the SEC tournament.
Yeah. Hey, folks, Vince Farrar, the sports animal in Knoxville, Dudley Dawson inside Arkansas, the dynamic duo on Wednesdays with us. Thank y'all so much, folks. Read, follow, subscribe to what these guys do. Help their brand because they help us. We'll see y'all next week. Hey, you got to get out and get a new car, truck, or SUV. Call Brad Bellamy, Landers Ford in Memphis, landersfordmemphis.com. And let them know you heard about them on SEC Sidelines. They have a huge lot, Poplar and Houston Levy, right where Germantown and Collierville converge, and also a new location. It's an iconic one. You all know it. Mount Moriah and I-240. Open every day of the week except Sunday. All your cars, trucks, and SUVs. Service department picks you up. Round-trip transportation to and from. They make it easy. And they're right down the street from my good friends at Hewlett and Dunn Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. Love these guys. I'm wearing a Duck Camp jacket I got out there and a Jackson Hole t-shirt. Look, get out there. They're open again every day of the week. Boys in the band. Oh, wow. They're going to have live from the boot room coming up here Saturday, March 14th, 7 p.m. Wow, that is Derek Cole Band. Wow, that will be fun. They have the boot room out there is incredible. You will absolutely have a blast. Hey, and also the great folks at mytownroofing.com. Don't wait till your roof is caving in. Brendan can tell you when a roof caves in, it creates chaos, a nightmare. I know Corey Carter, the owner. He's in my hunting club. Major Fusel, Chris Fiedler. I've known him since second grade. These guys are as good as it gets. mytownroofing.com. Call them. Let them know you heard about them on Sidelines. They will help you, and their crews work like 6 Mennonite farmers. They are incredible. And remember, hempforpros.com. You got trouble sleeping, aches, and pains, give them a call. Just text. Go on the website, hempforpros.com. Energy gummies, sleep gummies, lights out, chill, and they have the pain roll-ons and lotions. They absolutely work. Hey, it is Ash Wednesday. Happy Ash Wednesday to everybody. Most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. For executive producer Brendan Martin, who every time I think he's smart, I find out he's smarter. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you so much, because I don't have a clue. I'm learning. But
Rob, you should learn that people did a study on saying goodbye, and they realized that people who do Irish goodbyes save themselves something like 35 hours a year. So say goodbye, Rob.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, John Boy.
Sports, y'all come back real